let's get down to spooky business. Have you seen or heard anything weird, anything possibly paranormal going on in here?
There was so much blood on the frosting. And my friend, she stabbed the wrong person.
You don't look competent.
None of that explains the pygmy goat with the clown nose.
Oh my god, is there cake here?
I've always been out of place on horse farms because, like back in the day, like dreadlocks, I still have like neck tattoos and tattoos everywhere. And but yeah, I secretly like horses and have a large belt buckle. It's not true about the belt buckle, but no, I really like horses. I like training horses. Most of these saddles are mine, and at one point I knew how to use them. I've had to kind of put that aside because I didn't know how to manage small child, large horses. So that's kind of shelved for now, but I'll be back one day probably.
In your head, Oliver did have like horse farm experience.
At some point, he would have spent time around a horse, or horses, I should say. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There was a few, like one or two streamers was just like, why would he know horses? And I liked that because I'm like, if a lot of people met me, they might say the same thing. Like, how would you know horses? And it's like, well, you'd be surprised at weird stuff we all get into.
Just tell me about these boxes.
These are big boxes. Big old boxes full of goodies. They have floppies, they got your feelies, all kinds of books in them. Some of them even have cassettes in them. I ended up getting boxes mostly to archive the floppy disk. I just wanted that sweet data. This is the bathroom exclusive collection here. I keep these in the bathroom just in case.
Just in case what?
I've never been challenged on that before. Just, you never know when you're going to need some big boxes in your bathroom for when you're relaxing in your tub of plastic balls.
So what is this room?
This is like the gross secret nook room that I will go months without remembering even exist in the house. But I don't know what to do with this room yet. So for now, it just holds Tupperware bins full of big boxes. Because I was super into using a cryoflux to image the discs. It really wasn't about the boxes. It was about every version of every disc that I could get. And the boxes were a burden, so I put them here. Yeah, nice. And then there's guidebooks over here, all kinds of cool little guidebooks, Space Quest, Fansize, bunch of interaction magazines, Dagger Bomb and Raw.
So, you like adventure games, huh?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. At some point, it got a little obsessive, probably. It's like it takes all of this and a podcast and making one to get it out of my system, essentially.
You're listening to the Classic Gamers Guild podcast.
This makes my nipples hard.
Well, I met him through the Classic Gamers Guild, and we had this really interesting, back and forth, irreverent chemistry between the two of us.
And I think that kind of brings us to Act 2.
Yeah, essentially, we end up in horse flatulence territory, which is, I think it's a great joke. The horse flatulence is so bad in town that it's actually a safety issue.
If you've actually spent time around horses, and I trust at least a few of our listeners have, then only then do you know how unbelievably gassy they are. It's no wonder that movies have sound effects and a score playing over the sound of horses running majestically in a field, because if it wasn't for the music, you would just hear them farting. Every time a horse viciously kicks, it farts. 8 out of 10 kicks, it farts.
Yeah. Now, don't tell anybody, of course, but yeah, he's actually a really deep, sensitive, thoughtful, introspective person that is unlike anybody that I've ever met before. Most people, you tell them something and they're like, cool. him, you tell him something and he's like, I've spent the last 3 hours thinking about it and I've done some research. I pulled some videos that might be relevant to your situations. And here's some things I've learned about myself. And let's talk about it after you watch these videos. Like, he gives you homework when you ask for advice. Like, who does that? Nobody does that.
I've been like overly analyzing and obsessing over adventure games for a long time, especially for the podcast. And it's like, why don't I put that all to use? It was November 12th, 2020. I was in my room, sitting up in bed. My son Strummer was sleeping. At the time, he would have been 5 years old. I was sitting with my notebook, which it's not that romantic. This was 2020, so it was an iPhone. It sounds so much more romantic to say my notebook, but it was just my note app. So he immediately just loses some luster. But yeah, I sat up and I was like, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to make an adventure game, like, for real.
Ghost and regular guy, PI. Something with Phantom in it. I don't know. Me? Why don't you think of something? The Phantom Fellows? Nailed it. Engelbert after Engelbert Humperdinck, because it's both ridiculous and real. But I'll spell it Engle for no reason. Stuff I really want in the game. A travel map, real world logic, deaths. All characters will have messy hair. Everything is a hotspot. There. Thank you, future me, because that's going to be a ton of work. Good luck. What a dick.
Good job!
How hard and scary was it to first start this project? Like, was your very first thoughts when you started doing it?
It was absolutely terrifying. I never thought I'd be able to do programming. Like, and maybe this could speak to anybody listening. Like, if you were to rewind 3.5 years to the day before I started this, I used to look at code as just nonsense, just brackets and spaghetti
numbers,
just super scary, very like gatekeepy looking. I was always like a fan of Adventure Game Studio. They just have such a cool little community and produce some of the best adventure games, the modern adventure games, like anything from Wadjet Eye or Grundislov, Kathy Rain. Like, that was all AGS, and I wanted to be a part of that. So I'm gonna learn how to program, and it was not so bad.
Let's do this. Let's compile. Expected a thing. Okay, fair enough. We're in Adventure Game Studio, and we are going to set up an animation. This is the unfortunate part where I need to remind myself what the hell I was doing. So much of programming is like coming to in the desert with like a blinking cursor, and it's just like, create civilization in the middle of this desert. So first of all, do you have all the inventory that we need today? How do we check that? That's none of your damn business. I'm sorry. We'll head back over to room 10. I'm actually going to go to this one because in my current save state, I didn't mess with Dick. Dick is optional. You don't have to take Dick if you don't want to. And this is the animation right here. Just do it one time, block the script so you can't click and skip it, and run the animation forwards. All right, let's see what happens. This is the moment. So this shouldn't be running. This should be do once only. So the game should only run this one time, which is me just forgetting to put do once only on this. Now, there is much more wrong than just that.
I need to jump in and say this is full-time what Paul does. This is everything. This is not just something he's doing in the evenings and the weekends, including being a father. Right. He's full-time, single dad, 100% of the time. So everything he's doing is his whole life. And I just want to interject how much passion that will necessitate to bring in. Now go ahead.
Okay. So what are the funny ones? I think if you look at the acorn, is it?
The tree's dying wish was to be carved into the likeness of its children. It's the cook and owner Lawrence. He's beaten me in 3 fistfights and 2 chess matches, but I've slept with his mother.
So then why funny? I mean, because your game is super funny.
Thank you. I'm not much different than a lot of people who really value comedy, where they probably went through something terrible when they were younger and learned to use comedy as a way to move through it. When I was like 15 or so, my dad died in a plane crash. And it was just like, when that happened, I can either just laugh at the absurdity of this, or I can let it possess me and kind of take me down, you know? So I just chose to laugh at it. I had lost my dad like just when I was becoming, let's say, a man. That sounds quite dramatic. To this day, sometimes I just wonder what he would have said or thought about certain things. And I have this, you know, not unrealistic, but irrational, improbable fear that, like, what if my kid lost me too soon? This adventure game is a really cool way to be able to take control of Oliver, who is basically, you know, me, and to be able to be like, that's what my dad would have said. On the slightly more probable realm of things, it's like I don't have to die young. This is so much darker than I ever realized saying it out loud. I don't have to, die young for it to not still be away from my kid to in his 20s or something, like put on my game and be like, this was exactly who my dad was.
You're a guy out there on your own making a game. Like, you don't have a development team. You don't have like somebody doing the music and somebody doing the art. If somebody was to go off and try to do that same adventure, what is it that you've learned that they could maybe take from it?
You got to get yourself an Anna. For real. You have to find somebody who you're very close with, who loves adventure games, because otherwise it's all just in your head, and like you'll very quickly not be able to tell what direction you're headed. Like there's been so many times where I went to Anna and was just like, is this insane? Like, does this at all make sense? Like, and sometimes the answer is, yeah, it perfectly makes sense. And then sometimes the answer was, well.
One of the things I was really proud of was helping Paul strike a tone. Paul's natural voice leans towards cleverness and polish, and I brought in this like constant tug with rawness and humanity. We'd ask things like, what is the ghost actually feeling? Or how can this scene still be funny while touching something painful? And a lot of the story ended up having these tiny little emotional landmines.
Ruckus has taken his rest, Oliver. He is gone.
I like to think I helped bring out more of an emotional undercurrent to his writing and structure. And over time, it became about friendship and grief and purpose and how people deal with unfinished business. But at the same time, it didn't lose its humor at all.
He said death by chocolate. What a ridiculous name for a cake. Such an unfortunate set of final words.
There's this theme running through about things that are left behind, unspoken themes, broken relationships, emotional depths. And that ended up exposing, for me, a lot of my own blind spots in my own life, with my own family, dealing with my own past. Like, all of a sudden, I found I was confronting things that I wasn't sure I wanted to confront. And Paul was right there with me to say, hey, let's pause talking about the game and you know, what is going on? And why are you thinking about that? And what do you think that you were missing to make you feel that way? And it would dive deep into these like conversations that would sort of hit me to the core. Through making this game and my friendship with Paul, I've learned I've never, ever in my life met one person who was willing to go so deep into philosophy, make a business happen, make a game, raise a son entirely by himself, and make every single day magical. Yeah.
So what can you tell us about the Phantom Fellows? What is it?
Okay, the tagline is it's about two best friends who start a paranormal investigation business together because one of them's already dead.
Nailed it.
Yeah, thank you. I've been typing it on Twitter for 3.5 years now. It stars Oliver. Oliver can see a ghost, which is Engelbert. I just came up with the idea in the sense of, if I could only see one ghost, what would I do? And I'm like, well, in like the real world, we still have to like, make money and like live and exist. So I'd probably start a business, try and exploit it or whatever. So yeah, there we go. I've been co-hosting this small adventure game podcast called the Classic Gamers Guild podcast, CGG podcast, and so it's just spending many years just being a total nerd about adventure games and like picking them apart, and so I more came at it less from a story to tell angle and more from like as a huge fan of adventure games, like what would be like my ultimate wish list. The idea of a human and a ghost was like, I really like games where you can switch protagonists, like Day of the Tentacle or Maniac Mansion or whatever, and I like when the different protagonists have different abilities and things like that. I had this notion when I was a kid that like playing adventure games, it always felt like this massive open world. At least in our memories, they're still almost preserved that way. Playing like Fate of Atlantis and being able to pick which part of the map you went to and having that agency, or in Police Quest, everyone's favorite, being able to choose where you go in light and like on the highway. So being able to travel around was really important to me. The game's broken down into days, which are cases. And each time a case opens, you can go back to the previous location. So the idea is like when you go back, you're either going to find an alternate puzzle solution or just some jokes. You should feel rewarded and like your time well spent for bothering to go back. Trying to scope out what I didn't like in certain adventure games or things that I hadn't noticed like an evolution of. And one of them was the puzzle logic, not accounting for what we would really do in real life. I played plenty of games, I'm sure we all have, where the puzzle might require a roll of tape and you saw one earlier in the game. And you're like, if I could just go get that tape, this whole thing could be over with. We could keep moving through it, but they don't let you get the tape. So instead you have to like, chew a wad of gum and stick it to the thing and whatever adventure games logic goes on. And so that was like the fat I really wanted to cut.
Talk to me about the art style in this game.
The games that were really inspiring me and like drawing me towards actually making my own game was anything that Ben Chandler worked on. And he's like the main artist for Wadjet Eye. So you could think of Techno Babylon or just basically any of the Wadjet Eye games Ben's more or less been on. And in addition to Ben Chandler's work, would have been Thimbleweed Park was next. Seeing the contrast between the like modern lighting effects with old chunky pixels. I tried to make my art a bit louder than the ones before it as far as the lighting effects, and like I'm not hiding it at all, like just blasting it with glowing lighting effects and things like that. And the reason I did that is because to me it almost feels like it looks like what my memory sees when I think of old pixel art games. Like it just has this extra bit of like glitz and glow and this wondrous element to it that our memories kind of add to it that makes it feel just nostalgic and warm and fuzzy in our memories and things like that. And then one day I saw Dark Side Detective. And I really liked that for so many reasons. One, just like the really chunky pixels. I felt like the contrast with the lighting effects and the even chunkier, lower res art just looked so cool. And it also felt more accessible to me as somebody who had never done graphic art before. And so, yeah, it was just like, this is a really cool perspective. I want to see more games like it. And I guess when I was playing Darkside, I was like, I really want to be able to walk around. Like, I really want to be able to explore this game. And Darkside isn't quite designed like that. And so that was kind of the inspiration. I'm like, I want to do Darkside, but I want to be able to walk around it. Sometimes I get yelled at online about it, but for the most part, it's like, hey, man, like, I'm happy to give them the credit. They pioneered this awesome perspective. And when you invent something really cool, people are going to come along and be like, hey, I want to do that too. So that's me. This game is for people who like at point-and-click adventure games and grew up playing Sierra games and LucasArts games and like to hopefully laugh. I think it's supposed to be a comedy, but if you like to laugh, that's a weak statement. If you like to laugh, like if you like music, like really, that's what we're gonna sign off with. Okay, all right. If you like deaths in adventure games, but with auto saves right before you die, because none of us are saving games much anymore. If you like banter, if you like in-game hint systems that feel hopefully kind of natural, because Engelbert's like the mentor. I'm so glad I wore the shirt. And Oliver is like, learning from him. So Oliver will go to him and be like, hey, I need some help. And this is so incredible. So yeah, you got your desk, you got your hint systems. There's tons of hotspots. Absolutely everything is a hotspot. So you can look at it and interact at it as both characters and get unique lines for just everything. That's a lot of why this took 3.5 years.
I have always wanted to know what the moon feels like. As a ghost, I suppose I technically have the ability to go over there and touch it. So I will.
Oh, Jesus. Long fade
Okay,
out.
I am back. I made it to the parking lot and it was like, this is insane. I am not doing this.
All right. Okay. So I didn't really prepare any formal questions. So,
Okay, cool.
So can you tell people who you are?
Hi. Nope. Sorry. Hi, I'm Paul. I'm the developer of the Phantom Fellows, and these glasses aren't real. They're an aesthetic choice.
How much of your persona goes into the game? Because this is a very personal game for you, isn't it?
It is. Oliver is basically me. Maybe, 95% me, and that other 5% is the me I wish I was. And then Engelbert the Ghost is closer to my own shadow, if anybody watching is into young. Or if not, then the cynical bastard in me.
One thing I really love about the game is that there's so many things that you can kind of interact with. Like, how was it to kind of have to write kind of so many responses to things?
Yeah, brutal. Absolutely. I really screwed myself with that. I guess one of my favorite parts of these adventure games growing up was being able to look at everything, especially the Sierra games, or for some reason Space Quest 3 is always my internal example of this, of just being able to look at everything and get a unique response for kind of everything. So I want that for me. I want people to be able to click on things and get a response for everything. So that does mean writing unique lines for absolutely everything, including Oliver and including Engelbert. And then it's like, well, if everything's a hotspot, then the sky is a hotspot, so that needs, a response for look and touch for Oliver and Engelbert. But then the stars need their own, and the moon needs its own. So it's everything. You could spend days just clicking on things and getting lines. I think the fear in writing a comedy is that there's going to be no nutrients, no meat on the bone. It's just going to be jokes, and we all get kind of worn out by that. That's the hope, is that there'll be some fulfilling moments, and it does tackle pretty serious topics as far as death is concerned, because that's sort of somewhat serious. So yeah.
When's the release date?
September 27th. Of 2024, yeah, very, very quite soon.
How does that feel?
Horrifying. Yeah, sick to my stomach every time I say the release date, and just because it's scary. The public's judgment is terrifying. I know that I'm not for everybody, so I'm sure that this game isn't for everybody, but I do think that most people will enjoy it, will find it charming and funny, or whatever the case may be. And, if you were to ask me when I was a little bit tired, I might be complete opposite answer, I'm scared, but this thing is garbage, nobody's gonna like it. But realistically, I feel pretty confident about it. I hope that people, of course, not only find it funny, because that is, I guess, the ultimate goal, is to make people laugh, but I hope they find it fulfilling and thoughtful and even philosophical at times. the other element is that I made this game as almost like a legacy for my kid, and so what that means is like having the ghost give advice to Oliver, to the alive guy, to the breather, and have that advice be things that like I really want my kid to know, and things that I found really important and that would help him reach his potential. So hopefully there is that other element of kind of, you know, wholesomeness and fulfillment. Yeah.
How were you feeling, like, you know, leading up to release date?
Nauseous, terrified, with this haze of it's not really happening. A little, I guess, a nice sprinkle of denial.
I was so nervous. A lot of the marketing was me, and I've read the stats. I know that less than 10% of indie games make over like $2,000.
I didn't know that you had to set the store prices for different countries in Steam, so it wasn't available internationally for an hour. GOG accidentally put the game for like $99. That was horrifying. There were classic hiccups along the way. I was in the ER on release day. That was fun. I didn't tell anybody that because I don't like pity stuff and stuff. I was like, I'm fine. So I didn't want to tell anybody about it because I didn't want to tell anybody about it. But that was something to be sitting there doing like EKG stuff and palpitations. That was kind of taking my mind off it, we could say, but also not at all. Things can feel really big and alive online, or, you know, on X or on Facebook or whatever your thing is. And so like to you, it's like release day and you're getting all these tweets and congratulations and it feels like this live electric thing. And then you like, I don't know, I just had these moments where like I'd kind of come to and I'm in like a really quiet house, totally alone. This is such a strange contrast between realities where it's like inside of this screen in this little box here, it's a big day for me, but in regular life, like my kid's hungry, my dog has to go out, and it's just feels like a Tuesday. And yeah, seeing the reviews come in, thank goodness the reviews were amazing. The first ones that I saw were really good. Adventure Game HOTSPOT gave like a really good review that was nice and morale boosting.
How did it feel sort of the few weeks after that?
I just wanted to start the next game. I had been carrying that with me for 4.5 years working on it, and I just wanted to immediately start on the next one.
All right, what's up for today?
If I'm not making something, I get sad. I just like wither on the vine. Going into the second game, I feel like I have it slightly more together, but there is still that Kamek Cavalier shoot from the hip excitement of like, I don't really know what's gonna happen. Let's see. Okay, this is where we do the pixel art. Before I bring it to Photoshop, it's not done yet at all. It's quite messy. But last night I stayed up all night making hanging meat. Oh yeah, and here's the actual pixels if we go in there. I always like that view because it kind of helps you appreciate the pain in the tuchus that it all is.
So let's ask the hard, uncomfortable question.
Yeah.
What were like your financial goals going into this?
Man, it's a good question. I knew what I had to make in the year to justify doing another one. It took me 6 months to hit what I was hoping to hit. I probably would have thought it would have been like 3. And the game definitely went pretty under the radar for the most part, which is just the way it is. I think any adventure game fan knows that there's, you know, maybe, I don't know, a dozen every 3 months, and one of them is noticed and everybody plays it, and the rest of them fall beneath the cracks. And it's just the way it is. And it was a fear I had before release too, where I'm like, I hope I don't end up as one of those that just, oh, I didn't hear of that game before, and it just was. So that was a bit of a shame, but not quite enough to hamper spirits as far as going forward, and you know, just keep plugging away, telling the story that I want to finish telling or whatever. It's cliche and horrendous as that sounds, it's kind of true. And yeah, I guess one thing, just seeing that the people that do play seem to really, really like it.
This isn't your typical point-and-click game. It's a cozy, creepy adventure that leans more into humor than horror. And the art style is just gorgeous. I want to live in this world.
Boo. And now the cliche goes boo, just a dissatisfied sports fan boo.
I gotta say, I'm charmed by the game. The writers on this game are fucking geniuses.
Yeah, they are. Dear God.
You know, the Phantom Fellows is such a personal game. The kind of banter that Oliver and Engelbert have is the same kind of banter that you would have with Paul, just like, you know, chatting. And it's, you know, it's funny, but and it's also like endearing. You can kind of feel the person behind it, and that so much kind of love and passion has kind of gone into it.
To have just a few people love it more than a mass amount of people like it is kind of what I'm getting at.
Did you have any goals as far as how many reviews?
I should have had higher goals than I had. The game was never able to leave the adventure enthusiast bubble. That small group of adventure game obsessives isn't enough. You really have to, you got to branch out and reach more people, and I failed to do that. The mental capacity was, I can make the game, do the art, do the programming, do the music, do the writing, and raise my kid, and that's it. I still don't have anything left in me to market it. I need more of that look at me sort of thing, and I just don't have that in me. It's hard to be like, look at my stuff, and like maybe the right thing to do would have been to tell everybody, hey, I'm in the ER on release day. Like maybe that would have. It does seem to work for people, but it makes me deeply uncomfortable.
Is there anything that would make you give up on it?
Very good question. Yeah. There was a rough month or two there, like in probably December, where I had to just sit and deal with the fact that it fell between the cracks. Yeah, going through December and just kind of sitting with that, like, okay, was it hubris to end the first game on a cliffhanger? Like, why would you assume that anybody wants more? Like, so those were kind of like the darker, quieter nights where it's just like, who was I to think that somebody would want even more of my game? Like, clearly it's not what you thought it was. That's when you have to turn to, like, the streamers or the people that had a blast playing it and just be like, okay, if it was only for me, I don't think I could do it. But if just a few people also want it or can really love it, then that's enough. And then there is the matter of my son Strummer, who I really did make the game for. So that was the other thing I kind of wrestled with a little bit, where it was almost a test. Like, did you really make this just for him? Is making this for him enough? And I have to say, yeah.
If you could say anything to yourself the day you started making the game, what would you say?
I'd probably say you're going to have the best 4 years of your life making this thing. I wrestled with it a lot the first, like, 6 months. Like, should I be doing this? This is a good way to spend my time. But yeah, it turned out to be the absolute, by far, the best 4 years I've ever had. To have my kid be able to see me waking up every day and, like, you know, just aiming at the highest goal that I could conceive of. And, like, I don't know how to program. Fine, I'll learn it. Like, showing him that nothing has to necessarily stand in your way. Life was just, and remains just really good. Like, I'm super grateful and just super lucky to have the life that I have and get to make adventure games. And yeah, I couldn't ask for anything more.
The mountains make me happy. They humble you. They make you feel like small, and actually that's a bit of a bummer if I frame it that way. Well, it's a nice view. Like, I like mountains. They make me feel small and insignificant.